Robert Louie was first elected Chief of West Bank First Nation in 1986, and he is now their longest-serving chief. He is a former practicing lawyer specializing in First Nation law. He has received many awards, including the appointment as an officer to the Order of Canada. He is a recipient of the Queen's Second Diamond Jubilee, and in February 2014, he received an honorary Doctorate of Laws degree from the Justice Institute of BC. It gives me a great deal of pleasure, and it's an honor to introduce our chief, Robert Louie.
Thank you very much, Bonnie, and good evening, everyone. Good evening in our language. We have a nice, new, bright, shining star teacher, Jordan Coble. He was over in that Sensa-Weeps Heritage area. He is going to be our next most proficient language instructor, so council's learning, including myself. So, Jordan, thank you very much for teaching us. Kulimp Pichiap, welcome. This is your meeting. We consider ourselves as your guests tonight. This meeting is yours. This facility belongs to you. We're certainly proud of you as residents and for what this community stands for, and you make this happen. So, Limlim, thank you for that. I wish to have a special thank you to our advisory council, to Chairman Gordon, to Bonnie, to Terry, to Kathy, to Ludwig. They do fantastic work, and we certainly appreciate and are honored to have such a fine group as your advisory council. So thank you, council members. Now I know Gordon has already thanked some of our members here, but I too wish to give a special thank you to the WFN snowboard team. Again, the youth in the purple shirts, our WFN Youth Council, the youth in the hoodies, parking attendants and golf cart drivers, the volunteers, everyone that's really participated. You know, it makes the community when we have the youth really full front and center, and they're taking a very active role. Part of the reason why we have a brand new youth facility under construction, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few moments. But it's always appreciated. The volunteers that make this happen, very much appreciated. And I too wish to thank Jen Bellingham for being instrumental in getting everything organized. I also want to say a special limlim thank you to all of our staff, all of those manning those booths. They've done an excellent job. Very honored to have such hardworking staff. So to the staff, limlim, for doing such a great job. And hopefully everyone got served tonight with food. I think it ran a little bit short at the end, but hopefully everyone did have something to eat. We want to thank Joni and Norma, J&N Catering. Fine job as always. I want to, thank you. We don't have anybody starved in this community. One of the things that is coming, it's been great working with the Advisory Council. We know the election is next year. There's been a bit of a legal change that's being worked on. The elections used to happen right at the end of August, just before, in some cases, just the weekend of the Labor Day. And there was always complaints. Not enough people around, and holidays, it's hard to have elections. So we've agreed, and the legal change is being made now, that the elections for your Advisory Council will happen the third Thursday in October. And also the nomination period has been extended to 2 weeks from 1 week, hopefully give more time for consideration. So this is something that is happening. So tonight, I would like to briefly talk about these particular areas. I'm just going to list off these areas and then touch upon each of these subjects in more detail. I want to talk a bit about the taxation, property taxation, about economic development, what's happening, about some of the residential development, about WFN revenues, and the new programs that are underway, our youth center. I want to talk about education and the culture and the arts, touch upon the communities in bloom, the Bike to Work Week, future plans that we have and projects that we're undertaking, Something that maybe is sometimes misunderstood, but it's an important area, land claims and the jurisdictional issues that surrounding that. I'm going to touch upon the Busher Road intersection, Lake Ridge Park lease issue for those of you from Lake Ridge Park. And those are the basic mixture of areas that I want to cover. So with that, I'll start with the property taxation. As you may or may not know, WFN has had the honor to administer and collect property taxation since 1990. We were one of the first nations in the country to implement property taxation. And prior to that, all of the property taxations went through the province. They collected and imposed the taxation for the residents on reserve. It was basically a windfall for the province because while they supplied basic services, sometimes snow plowing, that sort of thing, they didn't develop any infrastructure. They put in no sewage lines, they put in no water lines, they put nothing in, yet they took the property taxation dollars. Since that time, we've taken over, and it's been a fundamental change. As you hopefully appreciate, we now have quality infrastructure that makes your properties more valuable and hopefully attractive for you to be residents here, attractive for investors and investment. The average residential tax bill this year is set at approximately $1,745. It's about a 2.8% or $50 increase. We're lower than most other municipalities in the area, and we've strive to keep it at the lowest amount possible. Things like the commercial developments help us in that regard because we've kind of balanced out residential taxes with a lot of the commercial developments, and it's a bit of an ease. At least it eases the pain on you as taxpayers. Now, through the tax dollars, there's a lot of things that have happened, a lot of infrastructure, water, sewage systems been built, buildings, roads, parks, recreational facilities. You know about the public beach, of course. Law enforcement, that's a big area, protection, and the administrative team that you see surrounding this room. And one of the things that it's always a pleasure to refer to, and I know you've got this handout, the residents' information brochure. I'm holding it up. I think you've got copies of that. Please take a look at that. It outlines various tax benefits and tourism offerings. Now, something just briefly about economic development. We have an Economic Development Commission, as you, I think, realize, one of the first in Canada on a reserve. As part of the work to assist businesses, we have an annual business walk. And this past year, the Economic Development Commission, out of 400 businesses, visited 48 of them. And in that visit, learning about what was happening with our residents and businesses there, some of the statistics include the following. 89% of those 48 business owners said their business was fair, steady, or good, and was increasing in business. Of those 48 businesses represented, they had 250 full-time and 199 part-time employees. Some of the interesting statistics that we learned from the businesses, 18% of those visited said they plan to retire or sell within the next 5 years. 49% of them said that they had a succession plan in place. That was 49%. The norm in the industry is 32%. So they do have visions of the future. Some of the newer businesses we've seen, it's slowed down a bit, of course, but it's still active. A massage clinic has occurred. A couple of paint stores, Dollarama across from City Furniture. We've got upcoming businesses, including another self-storage place, a potential RV park, and something that for you wine drinkers, Indigenous World Winery, something that I'm quite familiar with and proud to be an owner. I'm not advertising, it's just a fact. Residential development. Of course, the lion's share of all property taxation is, of course, from residential development. And we've had to deal with various issues concerning that. Canada Mortgage and Housing Commission says that rates for 2016-17 should remain steady and strong. I think it's fairly good news for homeowners. We know that the west side population now is already larger than the city of Penticton. The growth is continuing to happen. We estimate our population at somewhere in the neighborhood of 10,000 non-member residents. However, we're going to be a little bit more certain because Statistics Canada have agreed to carry out a full census later on this year, and we'll have more accurate statistics perhaps by the year end. Something about the BC residential property assessment process. It's done by BC Assessment. Their job is to evaluate property and establish property values according to the market evidence that exists in any given year. They determine the value as a land and improvement price that might reasonably be expected if held in fee simple off reserve and if offered for sale in the open market on the valuation date. So what we do, we contract with BC Assessment Authority. They do all the tax assessments for the rest of the province, other municipalities, residents, and we're at arm's length from that process. So there's no interference, it's fair, and it's a process that the province has endorsed and we have supported. Now, something about revenues and new programs. Even though we've had some tough economic times, our revenues were up a couple of percentage points this past year. That allowed for an extra $200,000 to be put into the department budgets. So some of those dollars are going to assist in training staff. There's new programs in place, the Bear Aware program, the Wild Conservation program. We're continuing to improve lighting, sidewalks, transportation, water and drainage systems upgrades, and of course, the new youth center. Now, the youth center. Very proud of what's happening right there. As you can appreciate, our main priority is our youth and the education. So the youth center is projected to be complete November of this year. It will have 14,000 square feet on 2 floors. It's going to feature an outdoor learning garden and classroom and have several environmental features, such as a passive ventilation system, external green screens that grow in the summer to block the sun, so it's environmentally friendly. Some of the wood in the building is from our community forest license, and that's being used in the building itself. And importantly for us, it fulfills the strategic priority to engage and to empower all of the youth, not just WFN youth, but all of the youth residing within WFN lands. And perhaps they may be some of your children or grandchildren, residents here. It's going to be used for all of those purposes. It will support not only the high quality facilities, but support much needed services and programs. And we invite you to go into our website. I think Gord has already given you the website, and you can have live images of construction at any given time of the day. Now, education and arts. We've worked closely with university here, UBCO, and with Okanagan College. We've recently signed MOUs with these 2 institutes. We're very proud of the success of our students. The graduation rates, post-secondary rates continue to climb. So we're pleased with that growth, and it helps support the reason why the emphasis is on youth and education. And certainly we have some very fine institutions, and we're very proud to be associated with both the university here and the Okanagan College. Something that is also happening, just part of the facility next door, is our Sense Houston School. We are going to be renovating it and expanding it over the next several years. Right now we have kindergarten to grade 6, and we're going to put at least $8 million to improve it, and we're going to do that at WFN cost, not your property tax dollars, but WFN's own internal dollars. But it's emphasis again that is being put into the future of our children. Now, culture, public arts program. We have a public arts committee. I'm very proud to sit on that committee with Jordan and other members of our community. The committee itself promotes the Okanagan and Sioux culture through local artists. The art is being displayed throughout the whole area, the city of Kelowna, the west side here, and we're going to ramp that up even further. One of the latest donations that we were very proud to make, all at WFN's expense, not taxpayers' expense, was a gift of a grizzly bear sculpture at Big White Resort. We're very proud of that. Local artist, Smoker Marchand, Okanagan member, designed it, built it, and we know it's going to be seen by millions of tourists and people. And we're very proud of our culture, and we believe that sculpture helps to promote who we are and gets people to understand what we're all about. The Sinsuips Museum, I'm sure you've learned a little bit about it at that Heritage Repository over there. We're very proud of it because we are a licensed museum. We have the certification, we work with Tourism Kelowna, and there's a lot of great things happening. It's located at State Square. Of course, you know where the old Sears building was, right next there. We invite you to please visit the facility, learn about past, present, and maybe some of the future from our museum. So we certainly invite you to please, if you have time, please visit that facility. Now, as you mentioned, as Gord mentioned, Communities in Bloom been very, very successful. We work with the City of West Kelowna. We've partnered with the City of West Kelowna, and as your chairman has mentioned, we have been very successful. So fact that the national award was received in the categories of tidiness, of environmental action, that's water and drainage systems, heritage conservation, forestry, landscaping, and floral. And that's something that we're very proud of, and that's something that in unison we have worked very closely with West Kelowna. Emphasis has been put on employment, on training of our members and the local public. And certainly we're very proud to be judged and accepted, again, to have the highest of national standards in these categories. Something that some of you who may be bicyclists, we have a Bike to Work Week. That is happening from May 30th to June 5th this year. For the third year in a row, WFN will help sponsor a celebration station at our government building offices. On the morning of June 1st, riders that are on bicycles can refuel with snacks and refreshments. And it's something that's being encouraged BC-wide. Reduction of fuel emissions, enjoying the environment is happening. Last year, the statistics show that more than 30,000 people participated throughout the province, cycling over 1 million kilometers, and there was an estimated $90,000 in fuel savings, which translates, I understand, to 300,000 kilograms of fuel emissions, all because of things like Bike to Work Week and bicyclists. So, if you're a bicyclist, please enjoy and get out there and have fun. Some of our future plans and projects, the IR number 10 lands, that's where our government offices location in and around that area. We have a neighborhood plan that is being revised and revisited. Some of you are certainly, maybe all of you are aware of the former medical center that we had proposed. We have very valuable lands there. That's all owned by the membership collectively, 100% band lands in common in that particular area. So we've had, of course, to put things on hold. We've separated basically from our partners, but we know we have the highest and best lands that are going to be extremely important for the future. We're doing a full consultation process with our membership. That could take a year or longer. So for now, the medical center facility is on hold. It's not forgotten, but we need to work through the process with our members. But it is continuing to happen. The additions to reserve lands, very important topic for us, future plans. We are continuing to buy lands, to make deals, negotiations of deals, to acquire lands to add to the WFN reserve land base. It's a priority for us. So from those negotiations, we right now today have 880.64 acres in that process. Fee simple lands and crown lands that will be soon added to the reserve boundaries and fall within full WFN jurisdiction. These are lands that we gave up for the Highway 97 interchanges that you see happening on IR number 10, close to the bridge, and all the improvements there. We anticipate these lands going through the process in about 18 to 24 months. So for some of you who might be interested, well, where are those lands located? We have on the Kelowna side, across the bridge, 750 acres. Largest part, which would be 670 acres at McCullough Road. That's where our IR number 11 and 12 lands are. And we're filling in the sections to complete full parcel there. We have 19.76 acres on Devon Road below West Kelowna. We have 20 acres on Spears Road, ALR lands that we purchased, and we have just over 40 acres of land by the airport. That is under WFN ownership and will be soon transferred to full jurisdiction. On the west side here, Peachland side, we have 105 acres that we've purchased that is in our name, 93 acres at Jack Creek and 12 acres at Trepania. So if you're going up, going to Vancouver, just going up the Coquihalla, if you drive up about 3 minutes, take a look on your right-hand side. There's an area in there. You'll see lands that are now under our control, and on the opposite side of the road, on the Trepania Creek side, you'll see another 12 acres there. Additional lands, another 18 acres for things like a 14-acre parcel, waterfront license by the bridge, part of our negotiations with the province and the building of the bridge and the construction of the Campbell Road intersection. 14 acres will be added to our reserve base there. 3.78 acres in Gallagher Canyons to fill in a bit of a hole that's in between our reserves, and a small piece at Vintage Terrace that is lands that have been determined to be several thousands of years old, and we purchased it from a developer, and those lands are being protected. They have artifacts within them, and they will be protected by having WFN ownership and jurisdiction. We have no development plans for all these lands that we are purchased. It's going to take some time to design it, to plan it, to work with our community, and at some point in time, we'll be able to share with you what will happen with those lands. Now, land claims. Land claims is a major topic that's throughout Canada. British Columbia is largely what's referred to as unceded territory. Not many treaties here, other than Vancouver Island, and of course up at Fort St. John in that area with, I believe it's treaty number 8. So what we're doing is looking at settlement of our outstanding traditional lands with the province and with Canada. We have mapped the area of our traditional lands. They're close to 70,000 square kilometers. Our peoples, as you can appreciate, are within the Okanagan Valley mainly, but the Okanagan Valley goes into the United States, the state of Washington, and these lands are not settled. So either through courts or through negotiations, we intend to finalize those land claims, and that will be brought up to the front burner as months go by. We've already given notice to the governments. They're expecting that, and we'll be wrapping that process up. Now, as we do that, there are preliminary matters that we're dealing with, some of which include things like foreshore head lease. Foreshore head lease is important for us because they're the land or the waters that border the reserve lands. So this is number 9 reserve that we're on. Number 10 is by the band office. In front of any of our lands is a foreshore. We've negotiated an agreement with the province where the foreshore head lease is transferred over to us to have the delegated authority from the province. It extends out over 300 meters in front of the uplands, and it's the furthest that we can go from a jurisdictional point to exercise jurisdiction without a full-blown land claim settlement. So with that, we have the authority to deal with marinas, with docks, with a moorage, and do things such as regulations and applications of enforcement. So very important for us, and it's a beginning for us, and it's a preliminary matter, but it's a step that we're taking in that direction. Some of you may not know, there's a lot of alternative energy, of course, happening, not only in Canada and around the world, but right here. So with that, we are working with another developer, two developers, on 2 wind power projects. So the 2 that we're looking at is referred to as Shinish, which is 33 kilometers west of Summerland, and the other one is Pennask Lake. As you go up to Coquihalla, get up the top, look at the right, that's in the Pennask Lake area. There is 25 kilometers west of here, 50 kilometers southeast of Merritt. So these are 2 wind power projects. So within those 2 projects, there will be 5 wind turbines. For each of those projects, 15 megawatts. But how much is that power? Each 15 megawatts is calculated to have enough power to service 2,500 homes. So 5,000 homes of alternative energy. So we're working with developers, and construction is going to be starting a little bit later this year. So we're helping to contribute to BC's energy plan with their goal of having self-sufficiency by 20%. So very important for us, and we're active in that regard. So many people don't know that that's what we're involved in, but now you do. Bushy Road intersection is the next major intersection that we're going to be dealing with. We certainly appreciate the input that the community has put. For those of you who have filled out forms or been at some of these open houses, the booth there on my left, far left over there, they've got more information on that. But the concepts have been developed for these intersections. There will be off and on ramps, a 3-lane underpass, 97, and roundabouts on both sides of the highway. Lots of consultation, public open houses have been held. The main goal is traffic and safety improvements. I don't know if you're aware, but the intersections are ranked in British Columbia out of the top 100. Both the Bushy Road intersection and the Hudson Road intersection are ranked number 20 and number 24 for collisions. So it's a significant area. I know personally people who have died at both those intersections, and perhaps you do as well. Lots of accidents have happened. So it's going to be hopefully reduced. We're proud to know and to say that with the West Side Road intersection, right at the front of the government WFN offices, that the statistics now show that collisions have been reduced 73%. So we know lives have been saved and accidents have been prevented, and you can get to Kelowna back and forth easier. That will be the same with the next intersections. We intend or hope or in negotiations now to administer the projects like we did with the other projects that we've done. We've proven that we can build these projects and do it properly. We don't have a commencement date. I wish we did. Those negotiations are still happening. Province and MOTI specifically have not given us their exact time frames. Our best estimate is that it will be started sometime within the next 2 years. Now, for you Lake Ridge Park residents, we are finally, I say finally because we've been at it now for several years and we've heard your issues of concern. We're finally at the early stages of finalizing the issues at Lake Ridge Park, the subdivision lease terms and so forth. So right now we're in the preliminary stages of pulling the titles and parcel abstracts from the First Nations Land Registry. And with the BC Land Registry, there are 280 properties affected. Those properties are all going to be examined, compared to ensure that all the interests and the history from the BC registries through the First Nation Land Registries are all dealt with properly. There is going to be assurance that there be no loss of data. And we're looking at eliminating the dual registration process. Dual registration is not necessary. We know that. Lawyers have advised us that. And that's exactly what is going to be cleaned up, and more comfort, hopefully, to you as lessee holders in Lake Ridge Park. So what will happen is a legal letter is in the process of being drafted. It will be forwarded to you as Lake Ridge Park residents soon, and it will be dealt with. Our big trouble has been dealing with CMHC. Immense delays. I can tell you the frustration that our offices and our departments have felt dealing with CMHC, but finally we now have comfort that we're moving ahead positively. So finally, in closing, it is an election year for the Chief and Council. The election is September 15th of this year, and that is happening so the electoral officer and arbitrator, everybody's appointed there at least 3 months prior to the election. So that is happening. So if you see some intensified internal politics, you know the reason. But it's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here tonight, and I wish you all the very best.